What's up, duelists? If you've played Yu-Gi-Oh! The trading card game in the last 10 or 12 years, then you've probably heard of something called Edison format. Maybe you're sick of the current format price tag, maybe you're sick of the current metagame, maybe you're just looking for a fun, fresh, new way to play a game that you love, or maybe you're just looking for a nostalgic way to play some of the cards that you really enjoyed when you were younger. In any case, Edison format is perfect format for all of these things. In today's video, I'm going to be going into detail in what Edison format is, how you can play it, and what you can do to succeed as a competitor in the format. What is Edison format? Edison format is a format of Yu-Gi-Oh! The trading card game played to emulate the exact rule set and legality of cards at Shonen Jump Championship Edison in March 2010. Or April 2010. Yeah, I wasn't there, man. I wasn't there. The ban list is March 2010, okay? The ban list is March 2010. The latest legal set is Absolute Power Force. You draw a card on the first turn of the game. We use the erratas from the time period. We use the rulings from the time period. That's all you got to know. If you're looking for rulings, if you're looking for errata, go to edisonformat.com. Now, the only way to play Edison format online is in the Dueling Book Unlimited Unrated section. The only place to find legal card pools for Edison format as of right now is on the Format Library website, the edisonformat.com website, or in the respective discords. In the most recent RBET, aka Really Big Edison Tournament, which is a tournament that I throw in the Format Library Discord, don't forget to join that. It's a free to enter tournament. It's awesome. Shameless plug. In the most recent RBET, the most played card was Caius the Shadow Monarch. This is one of the top staples in Edison format. He has a very solid effect. He has a very solid body. He's a dark monster. He works with most of the dark synergies available in the format. He's just an all-around great guy. He may look a little bit deceptive. He may look like he, was born in the shadows, but I think he's working on himself, going through a bit of a character development, and that's led him to be the most popular card in Edison format. A few of the other cards that I think you should know about when playing this format are Bottomless Trap Hole, Heavy Storm, Mystical Space Typhoon, Raiko Lightsworn Hunter, Mirror Force, Book of Moon, Dimensional Prison, and Solemn Judgment. These are the next 2 through 10 most popular cards played in main decks in Edison format. While the term staples is kind of thrown around lightly in a format where you can pretty much play whatever the hell you want, most of these cards are going to be seen in a good percentage of your matches, so it's good to be familiar with them and understand how to deal with these or play around them. For sideboarding, some of the most popular staple cards are DD Crow, Cyber Dragon, Dust Tornado, and most recently, Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. These are my top 4 picks for any sideboard in Edison format. You really can't go wrong with these 4. A lot of the times, some of these are even main deckable to a degree. Cyber Dragon is fantastic at going second. It helps you pivot aggression back into your favor. It also helps you against the random machines, eating them into a Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. DD Crow helps you interact with unfair graveyard strategies, similarly to how Kaiku lets you play. And Dust Tornado is just an additional piece of back row removal that helps you against decks that might be playing Royal Oppression. Royal Oppression and Gorz the Emissary of Darkness are the last 2 cards that I want to talk about as pseudo-staples for this format. Both of these cards warp the way you need to build your decks and play the game. Royal Oppression really punishes decks that rely too much on special summoning and don't have enough back row removal. Gorz allows you to reversal a lot of opponents. It is an excellent attribute in Dark, and it has massive stats that allow you to attack over almost anything in the entire format. One question that I get a lot when uploading these videos in the comment sections, in the discords, etc. is what deck should I play as my first deck in Edison format? And to that, I usually reply, bro, whatever you want. However, I understand that that answer is not very helpful for people who may suffer from decision fatigue, which is the average millennial in today's society. That being said, I think my top recommendation has to be the Shonen Jump Championship Classic Quick Draw Dandy Warrior. While this deck may not be the most easy to pilot, I think it is the deck that will teach you the most fundamentals about the format It'll give you a solid basis to stand on for playing any other deck you want to afterwards, and it also is quite fun to banish a Drill Warrior. You don't lose to any one card particularly super hard, so you're always going to be playing interactive games thanks to your very high levels of generic removal in Raikou, Lightsworn Hunter, Caius the Shadow Monarch, and various different tech cards that can give you extra spot removal where you need it. Oftentimes, resource games will be the name of the game with Quick Draw, but you can have some very fast and powerful draws with a Debris Dragon or a Titanial getting very aggressive early on. Another deck that I would recommend to beginners is actually Flamvel. I think Flamvel Fire Dog is a very feel-good card to resolve. One of the cool things about Flamvel as well is it allows you for a wide degree of customization in your deck. If you're anything like me, you're gonna like to customize your decks to a certain degree to make it more adapted to your identity as a player. Honestly, I think it is one of the most fun decks to play, even if it's not the most powerful. It will give you a lot of interesting and intricate game states, and Rekindling is just a blast to resolve. If you're a newer player and you're just looking for something fun to play with your friends, this is definitely a deck I would recommend considering. One of the biggest upsides to playing this format, as opposed to, of course, modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Or different formats that might be a bit older, is that the format is incredibly affordable. While I am a bit tentative to post this section, because I do understand that there are oil sheiks in the comments everywhere who will buy out cards at the drop of a hat, manipulate markets, and make it miserable for people just trying to have a good time, I do think it is important to point out that Edison format is very affordable if you're willing to suffer the tragedy of minimum rarity cards in your deck. There are a few cards that notably probably should be reprinted soon, but haven't been, but overall, most of the format you can get for under $5 a card, which leaves you somewhere in the ballpark of $100 to $200 for a tier 1 fully complete competitive deck. The last little bit I want to touch on in this video is something that I am trying to sum down into as few words as possible. Edison format is a format that rewards deliberation. If you have a good reason to make all of your plays, or at least have some reason to make a play, you will be winning a larger majority of your games than your opponents who may be just playing their cards without thinking. There are no linear combo decks, so to speak, in Edison format. Everything is situational. Everything is play based off of the circumstance you're given. In a sense, this makes this one of the least linear formats of all time, and also the most interesting to analyze from a gameplay standpoint. I took to Twitter before making this video, which you can follow me at E3yugioh, and I asked the people who follow me on Twitter what they wanted to hear about. A lot of them asked me about general gameplay advice, general sideboarding advice, and everything really boils down to this point about deliberation. If I'm summoning a card, I really should know why I'm doing it. If I'm playing a card into my opponent's back row, I really should know why I'm doing it. If I believe my opponent has a back row, I really should know why I want to play around that back row specifically, or why I predict that back row, or whatever. Be asking yourselves these questions. Play with an active mind, and that's my biggest advice to newest players. While this may be kind of shit advice and generic advice, you'll notice if you just keep this in the back of your mind at all times when playing, you'll improve drastically. Also, for newer players, I'd say definitely reflect on your replays. One of the coolest advances in the last few years of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that we're able to go back and watch our dueling book replays in more or less real time. This way you can see your decisions in hindsight, see if you made the right choices, see if you made the wrong choices, assess different gameplay standpoints when you have more time to think about things. This is one of the biggest ways to improve as a new player in any format, not just Edison format, and I cannot stress the importance of doing this if you want to be good at this game. The last little bit I wanted to talk about is sideboarding. Sideboarding in Edison format deals a lot with having a game plan. With your deck, you should understand your general game plan in almost every single matchup. While this is very difficult to do in a field where there are over 200 viable competitive decks, I still think it's good to have a general idea of 5 or 6 game plans you can lean back into in situations where you may be uncomfortable in a matchup. If you want more monster removal in a matchup because you've identified their monsters as a threat, maybe side in some dimensional prisons. If you are afraid of their back row, maybe side in some Dust Tornadoes. If they play machine monsters, maybe side in some Cyber Dragons. Either way, whatever you're siding in should align with your game plan. For example, if your game plan is to ignore your opponent's monsters because your monsters are better, maybe, even though you have good monster removal in your sideboard, don't side that in and instead side outs for their back row because your monsters naturally inherently do better than your opponent's monsters on the board. The inverse is also true. If you find that your monsters are losing to your opponent's monsters, then maybe side in a bit more monster removal and lean into your more resilient monsters in the post-board games. Perhaps you have some strong beaters you'd like to side in, like Thunder King Ryo, Doomcaliber Knight, or Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, to help you deal with aggressive threats out of decks that might otherwise cause your weaker monsters some problems. Generally speaking, it's good to look at matchups from this perspective. What angle do I want to approach this matchup in? What is my game plan in this matchup? Do I want to grind out resources? Do I want to get to a low resource situation? Or do I want to try to go for big OTK pushes early on? Do I want to punish my opponent's slower starts? Or do I want to survive the early turns of the game and then get to my big late game payoff? These are the questions you should be asking yourself when developing game plans in not just this format, but any format. If you're a beginner player and you're asking yourself these questions, you're already above 50% of the other players who are joining, potentially even more. From my experience playing this format, these are some of the biggest things you can do to improve your gameplay, to improve the factor that you have over your opponents, and increase your win percentage consistently. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you guys like this kind of content, if you guys want to see more Edison format action, if you guys want to see gameplay of your favorite decks, chances are I've covered it or I'm going to cover it on this channel, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you have a little bit of extra spending money and you feel like going the extra mile to help support the tournaments I'm throwing here, or put on the events that I'm putting on, or whatnot for Edison formats, consider becoming a member. It's only $2.99 a month. You get a brand new, really cool badge next to your name when you comment on my channel or on the live streams, and you also get a bunch of cool emotes to use in the chat as well. It really does go a long way to help support me making this stuff for you guys, so really appreciate it if you guys, felt the need to give a little. You know what's up. You know what's up. In any case, smash like, subscribe. See you guys in the next video. E3 Yu-Gi-Oh signing off. Peace out, everyone.